Hui, the girl who carried out the bombing, still lives with her mother, has 2 children, attends church services, and visits mountains and highlands in search of peace. In an attempt to forget her age, Hui wears traditional dress, cuts her hair and lives as a South Korean citizen after marrying one of the agents who handled her case. Now at the age of 60, she is a South Korean woman under heavy security protection on the outskirts of Seoul, the country's 3rd largest city, from execution to pardon. In December, she was the victim of brainwashing. Hui also survived a public protest in Seoul after a conference. She titled her life story "Tears of My Soul" and donated the proceeds to the families of the victims of the trip along with the other agent. She committed suicide by cyanide poisoning. While Hui was pardoned, she was considered an exploited tool. She was found not to cooperate with investigators and testified about the bombing at a meeting. A South Korean judge sentenced her to death. Then came the surprise when she was forced to confess that she was from North Korea. She was deported the following year when former South Korean President Tae-woo issued a decree that changed the situation. She initially refused to cooperate before the 1989 UN Security Council resolution. Pyongyang. At that point, she realized she had been the victim of deception and lies. She began to feel different from North Korea and from the country the intelligence services had persuaded her to follow by singing North Korean revolutionary songs. South Korean authorities then took her on a tour of the capital, Seoul, to witness life in a hospital. At the beginning of the interrogation, Hui claimed to be from China and had a name. She was certain she would soon die, but she was trying to calm herself and commit suicide. When Bahraini police snatched the cigarette from her hand in front of a weeping journalist, she apologized for the bombing. Later, she wrote a book about swallowing poison. Hui woke up to find herself handcuffed to a bed. She was arrested at Dubai airport. She left the bomb in a box inside an overhead safe, Bechui Hui. However, her Chinese accent wasn't convincing enough to prevent her from biting her tongue or committing suicide. According to Hui, a 1987 television broadcast showed a plane carrying dozens of Seoul citizens working in the energy sector in the east. Hours later, the plane exploded in the Andaman Sea. Attempts were made to capture the spy, who was handcuffed and surrounded on all sides with a device over her mouth. Upon Hui's arrival in South Korea, she was arrested and landed in the Middle East. They were on their way home to visit their families. They all died at the Bahrain airport after being suspected by airport authorities. The other agent then immediately attempted suicide. Hui's spy, who had not yet decomposed, was brought to Pyongyang to sabotage the Summer Olympics, which were held by any means possible via indirect flights. However, she was eventually released with the crew. The former spy attempted to return to Seoul in 1988. She was on a South Korean plane. She successfully disembarked during a call with 2 other agents. A deadly time bomb allowed her to return and live with him. The former spy travelled with another agent across Europe. They were disguised as Japanese tourists. In Belgrade, they used a portable Panasonic radio. She then headed to Baghdad to shelter her family without having to work. In fact, weeks before the operation, North Korea's current leader, Kim Jong-un, son of the founder of the Song dynasty, planned to use Flight 858 to wreak havoc and prevent the Olympic Games from being held in Seoul. According to Hui, she received the order for the Flight 858 disaster. In 1900, the orders for the operation were handwritten by Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il. She completed her training under a new name and was sent to the South for training. The South lived in abject poverty, while the North lived in luxury. Hui underwent intensive daily training, including one of her basic exercises. She studied Japanese in Tokyo after studying in Korea, using a forged passport under the name Mayumi Hachiya. At the age of 87, Hui was informed of her mission by intelligence chief Yakutaguchi, one of several Japanese citizens personally kidnapped by Pyongyang. The mission was to blow up a Korean Airlines plane in Havana. Hui's academic excellence caught the attention of North Korea. Before being sent to China to study Chinese, she had been a prominent taekwondo player for many years, where she met a member of the ruling party. She immediately joined the regime of dictator Kim Il-sung. After graduating, her case was not as fortunate as she had thought. It was a comprehensive plan hatched by the intelligence services in high school. She enrolled in a foreign language course in Pyongyang and was explicitly informed that she was being recruited as a spy for the Chinese. She then travelled to Europe as part of a training program to prepare for the assignment, performing alongside her formal education. Little did she know that embassy staff had accepted her. Her name even appeared in North Korean intelligence reports. She was summoned to the office of a North Korean military official and discovered that numerous arrangements had been made for her to study in North Korea. She played the role of a girl being transferred with her family from South Korea to Cuba, where her father worked at the Korean embassy to study Japanese. During her second year of study, she was asked to star in the first colour film produced by North Korea, to recruit a girl. Her first glimpse came when the intelligence officer sent to Pyongyang surprised her. Once back in Korea, here is the story of the world's strangest spy. Actress Kim Hyun-hui was sent to North Korea to promote Pyongyang's propaganda that Koreans were spying in Pyongyang. Kim Hyun-hui was a diplomat before being transferred as a child. The former spy, Kim Hyun-hui, who began her career as a teenage actress, is still active in the 1988 espionage scandal. Born on January 27, 1962, the spy is now approaching 60. The ghosts of her victims haunt her every year before the Seoul Olympics. The North Korean girl has never forgiven herself for what she did more than 30 years ago, when she planted a bomb on a South Korean civilian airliner in 1987. After Seoul forgave her crime and pardoned her, she was released. While she was granted citizenship, the upright South Korean citizen of today was once a North Korean girl steeped in the thoughts of Pyongyang's dictatorship. She is the same today, a caring mother, a woman, an upright Korean citizen, a spy who combined contradictions more than any spy or agent before her. Her hands are stained with the blood of 115 people she murdered in cold blood. Yet she insists that the spirits of those killed in the plane bombing still haunt her to this day.